Hello and welcome. Today is Monday, the 10th day of July 2017. My name is Derek and welcome. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and just a few other charts. But I want to talk a lot about this game of trading and really the entire Bitcoin play itself. This is like one large video game, at least for myself. And its score is divided in a couple of multiple ways for me. One is your Bitcoin score. And the goal is to try and increase that number, doing so, of course, by buying and selling at successful levels. That's the first main goal. And then the second one, or the second score, is its value in, well, for my case, Canadian currency. And then, of course, within the game of silver, its ratio with Bitcoin to silver. So this is how that game is playing through. So why, when I think, or there's a decent chance that the ratio of Bitcoin to silver, why would I be turning Bitcoins now into silver if I think it's going to go that much higher? And that is because within the game, every so often, even multiple times a month if you can, but definitely at least on a monthly basis, you buy silver, you buy silver with Bitcoin. And part of this game is determining, well, how risky do you want to go? And you don't want to take too many risks, so you equate very small percentages to such, because I look at this game as it's only going to end in one of two ways, and it could be both ways winning in this sense, and that's going to go either way up or way down. But I think it's more likely, it's got a good chance in my estimation that this is going to have spectacular moves as the many months will move by and roll forward. Ultimately, there's a decent chance that this will have some big falls along the way. And if this does go down to nothing, that's the risk that I'm taking, that I think is an improbability of large proportions. And any type of corrections that come down to here, and let's even get real on the long-term time frame, coming back to, well, the previous high at the start of the chart at around the 1290 mark. That's not out of question or breaking any major trends. So any of these short-term fluctuations, well, one way of playing it is if it's going to go down, you just sell your Bitcoin for stuff like tethers or whatever else you can do to get out of Bitcoin. And that's, of course, if you also think the other coins are going to do poorly. But for me, I want to see conviction within this 18 average. And since it has been going sideways within my game that I'm playing and trying to hold as many Bitcoins as possible, do I ever make the decision, okay, it's time to sell Bitcoin into US Tether because I think it's going to roll over? And we've had situations like, okay, establish some support in here, come up to this band and make a significant higher low. Back in here. Ooh, neutrality extreme. And now it's big down day. 8.12% to that level. And just to put this into perspective, if the Dow Jones ever lost about 8% in a day, you're talking about 1,600 or so, 1,500 points. Ooh, wouldn't that be something else? But here it's just a move back to previous low. That's what it is, back to low. And I stated in yesterday's video, taking out the previous two lows isn't going to do anything to break the trend. It's going to further the neutrality into the lower end of it. And if I ever want to consider any type of short setups or betting on the US Tether, if this thing goes straight down, then I probably will have a hard time deciding, oh man, do I sell some Bitcoin? And I probably won't, because I'm the type of person that likes to buy when the markets go down and sell when the markets go up. And this is a base currency for myself as it is, but I would prefer to see some sort of consolidation within this if it's going to be weak. And they're just hoping. I mean, the market's going to do what it's going to do. But this previous support you would hope or think would hold if there's any further decline. But from that point, for it to do some settling in, maybe come to this band, find some resistance in here, and then start to roll over from it, then I might consider doing it. But I'm not going to do it as it was leaving here. And I'm not going to do it now as it has just left it again when all it's doing is leaving a sideways band. That's neutrality within an uptrend. So I'm not shorting or selling at this stage. No way, no how. Not right now. And maybe it'll just do what it does. But as I see it, a lot of this is still in its sideways consolidation. When I'll put this in multiple time frames, we'll go like short term and long term. You get two totally different stories. The weekly time frame has its move back to this 18 average of highs, which says it has corrected long enough and down enough to at least say that it's hit this point. We can also see that this 18 average of lows is a little above that 1800, closer to about maybe around 19 or so in that, or that would be 22, little higher, whatever. It's a decent decline still down, and it would keep it, of course, in its correctionary phase. And long term, because it's been just shooting up consecutive weeks in a row, the last significant places in which it came from is the combination of these here. So any move in here would be something standard after a good move. And here you go all the way up here, back down. And that's why within the game, if I play it out that it's going to go down like this, then I'm going to be looking to be a buyer / holder, because I realize that that's just an area where it usually is going to bottom. And I think a lot of the reasons why Bitcoin is going up is because of the defaith or the not liking their fiat currency, which I think is only going to keep growing exponentially. But again, that's what I think, and the market's going to do what it's going to do. Let's look at a short-term chart now. And within this 4-hour chart, the price is now 23.36, and it was 22.98 on the daily chart, so it's been up 38 basis points, or about 1.6%, or somewhere close to that number, in just a few minutes. And that's just a little, like a whatever little move. However, within such, it has left the band and has had a decent sized move, but back down to this previous key support level. So now the test is, okay, is it going to find that key support that you are looking to get? Oftentimes, bullishly or bearishly, there's a decent chance it will go higher from this point. And somewhere along this way, if it's going to be bearish, it's probably going to top somewhere in here and then roll over. Again, somewhere within this 18 average. And that's just team one going, team two, the bulls and the bears. So like any of these time frames, any of these charts, it's so easy to see whose turn it was. Oh, the bulls, the bears, the bulls, bears, bulls. That was a former SNL sketch. The bulls and the bears. The Chicago teams, but the bulls, as I mentioned in stocks, are the ones that buy orders, are the ones that bring it up, and the bears are the ones that sell and bring it down lower. All right then, so let's even shorten it again because it's had some wild moves in just a few minutes. So let's put a shorter term. And this is the 15-minute chart. So we can see this wild move in here. In just a few hours, you're at 25.30-ish down to 22.60-ish. That's a loss of 250 or so, 10% from point A to point B. And since point A down started, how has the 18 corrected it? It did so here. Not really, but close here. And then after it bottomed, it found its little area. We can see coming up to the highs. The average is starting to flatten barely, not quite, but almost. And then it wasn't on this one on the break, but it was on this one that had its decent move with a little bit of a correction here, a little bit of a correction here, a little bit here, and currently it's in that correctionary phase again. So a lot of selling that has been going on. The sellers in control of this market at this time frame. And when you have moves like this, what I find is important would be calculating some key Fibonacci resistance from here to here, but what looks like 38% on here. I mean, practically somewhere around here for the most part. But with that being stated, it's got a lot to do to get over it. It's got to pretty much do what happened in here. You establish resistance, get over it, and then, ooh, failed move, fast move. See, I like to bring this up because not every single situation in which these plays come up is it going to work out for you. Because to me, it looks like a situation in here where, man, it was a good breakout pattern, but that didn't happen. No, it didn't. And myself, trading just stocks back almost a decade ago, I learned this the hard way that whenever a good setup, something like this would happen, and I got hit with these like over and over and over, and then it would just fail. Now, this isn't the greatest of setups because, well, I'm only looking at just a little bit of data, and wasn't the greatest of an established resistance point. Did the trick, but it did look good in here, but it ultimately fell. The Ethereum chart, I'm going to go through just these little quickly. I'm already at the 12-minute mark, so just briefly go through this, but it's been grinding its way lower, and then it finally pretty much broke support or left the band for a decent move, not finding support, at least not as of yet. It still can at this previous point, which is where it came from in here. Now, all we can do is things like, well, where was it last at key points? You can make a case for 110 and this previous resistance. We could also just pull up some Fibonacci, which we can see there's a high at about 400. And this is the volatility when we talk about the low. I mean, these are just massive numbers, but the low in here is like $7. So that means 85, as well as 154 would be areas to be serious about. So 154 in here, if this thing is unable to hold or keep going lower. And then, of course, again in here. Now, the logarithmic view isn't the greatest, but the moves that this has had has been outrageous, to say the least. And let's move on to the next one. Dash in US dollars is getting relatively in a nice up choppy market in this one. Doesn't have that cup shape formation that I've been showing priced in Bitcoin. However, we could see many situations in which it has had some decent moves lower. So will this be another one that will have a move like this? Well, not necessarily because it's a daily chart and the market's closing in a few minutes. No, but will it be able to rally from this point? I don't know, but it's been doing such, having wild moves up and down while maintaining the uptrend pretty much since the middle of April. And finally, we'll finish it off with Litecoin in US dollars as well. And it's back to this correctionary move or deep inside the 18 average of lows. It spent extended period of time or an okay amount of time in here. It did spend an extended period from here to this point, eventually having the nice breakout in US dollars around the 15th of June. And Good leg higher, correctionary phase, good leg higher, and now we stand again in the correctionary move. So then, thank you for tuning in to tonight's video and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.